Okay, here we are with part 2 of my training videos for Media Menu Flow. Just wanted to remind everybody that the Media Menu Flow has to go on the same drive as your movie flow and your music video flow. So whatever drive you have that your source stored on, mine is on my NAS, which is mapped to drive Z, so that's where I store it. Now we're going to go on to the storage function. We've explained all the other features in part 1 of the video, so if you want to know anything about them, you can go to part 1. Next, what we're going to do is we're going to go gather the information about my popcorn player. My first popcorn player is actually I'm going to access is my A110. I can also access an A100, an A110, a C200, or an A200. The X200 would be A and C. The A1X would be the 100 and 110. Anyway, so let's go out and go take a read of it. And so now what's happening, Media Menu Flow is communicating with the popcorn. It's getting all the map drives from it, and it's going to come back and it's going to tell me what the popcorn's IP address is, verify its name, what work group it's in. And many times when you can't access the name of the popcorn, it's because by name, it's because you don't have it named right, or you're not in the correct work group that your PC is. So I've gone ahead and I've displayed here for your convenience what work group your PC is physically in. That way, if they're not the same, you can go out and change them. Also, I've shown that what your clock is set for and what your offset is set for. So it's important that you have the GMT offset, and the daylight savings should be turned off for your time to function correctly with my Media Menu Flow. Anyways, now what happens is here's all the map drives, and what I've done is I've designed a function so that if you want, when your popcorn turns on, to instantly go out and mount the drive that you have your Media Menu Flow turned on, stored on, have it actually go out and mount it and start up Media Menu Flow. So like mine's stored on my NAS. So when I turn on my popcorn, I can actually write out a special index file, and it would be to mount this map drive, so I select it, and then I have to tell it where on the PC my popcorn is. So there's my popcorn right there. And so now I go over here, I've selected both these two, and I say create a share. So now what it'll do is when it mounts, it will automatically go, when it starts up, it will go out and it will mount the NAS automatically. And once the NAS is mounted, the index.htm in the NAS's root directory will start up Media Menu Flow. So at this point, I would click the create button, and it goes out and it creates it, and it tells you whether or not it could write to it. If something happened and it couldn't write to it, it would come back and say, hey, I couldn't create this file, it's not there. And that's all there is to it. And you could do the same thing for more than one player and have them both mount and start up the same copy of Media Menu Flow. So that's what I've done. I have an A100 in my bedroom and a C200 in the living room. Okay, and so some of the things I've gone ahead and selected on my C200 is I put on there so that I could access the DVD drive, and then I have autoplay on the DVD drive turned off. That way when I pick this, I can go get my popcorn, put my DVD drive, wait for it to spin up and so forth, and when I come in here, I just click the DVD button or Blu-ray, whichever one I have in the machine, and then away it goes and it starts playing, and it'll automatically do that. I've added that link into my menuing system. Then I've added in the ability to set up so that I could actually browse shares or mount hard drives. So these first two entries here, the A100 hard drive and the C200 hard drive, are actually browsing shares. Where I have the A100 and the C200, they actually go ahead and mount the share. And on the A100, you have to actually go out and manually browse it. On the C200, it automatically puts you in browse mode, which is sort of nice. Anyways, pretty straightforward as far as that goes. And to add one of these to the list, you always have to have at least one item in the storage list for any button. To add one, we go here. Then we can give it any kind of name we'd like to. And so because I want to know which one's for which one, if you notice here, when we pick a hard drive and we're using the A100, you notice down here the actual launch command is different for a A100 than it is for a C200 or A200. So I give you the ability to pick those options, and it automatically builds the launch string for you. That way you don't have to remember how to do this or know any of these fancy commands. You just go through, pick what you want to do, how you want the filter to work, and whether or not you have a number after it. So if you had an A1, A2, and A4, and it would automatically go out there and say, hey, I've got a C200, and it's dash A4. It's just that simple. Mine are all just plain old none. I don't have any entries on mine. Mine are just plain old hard drive. So that's what mine looks like right there. And then up here, I could pick or I can pick network shares, and these would be actually whatever's in this list. So whatever is listed over here, when I pick network share, it automatically grabs the information about the network share that I'm going to browse, and it fills it in over here automatically for me. So there's no typing involved. The only disadvantage with this is if for some reason your popcorn's not on the network, then you won't be able to use this option because you can't see it. You can't see what the network share is to put this in. You'd have to know all this line of code all by yourself. Anyways, so that's all there is to it. You click the save button and it adds it to the list. Now if I got one on here and I didn't want it and I want to delete it, I click the delete button and it removes it. Pretty straightforward. And down here, one thing that I've added to it is I've added some smarts to it. So if I tell it it's a C200 and I give it a A100 name, it will go out and tell me I found a popcorn, but it doesn't match the type you selected. And this is because I have two different popcorns on there, and I was constantly finding myself trying to make settings for the A100 when I was really pointing to the C200. So I added this feature so that I know which one I really have, and that way when I pick the right one, it'll go out, get it, and it'll automatically populate my PCH map drives. Anyways, so there's pretty much an overview of how the storage function works and how it's used. Anyways, good luck and enjoy Media Menu Flow. Thanks, and bye now.